almost all the sector, from private, finance, and IT services, and 4 years for government, where I architect the entire public infra for government of Punjab. And I'm passionate about technology, and I started my domain when we had Windows NT, and see where we have come across. We are talking about the zero trust serverless deployment. So it's truly exciting journey for me. And no, it never, no, it always wonders and never ceases to amaze how this digital transformation has impacted our lives. When I talk about lives, whether it's personal, professional, the entire digital transformation has changed the way we sleep and work. And to give you a few examples, can you imagine now, life without internet banking? Can you imagine life without UPI payments? On the work front, can you imagine any organization which is not running self-service portal, which is not running automated system for deployment? No, we cannot imagine our lives. So everywhere, this entire digital revolution, which I call as a digital transformation, it is impacted everywhere. On the work front, it has changed how the organizations are doing businesses, and it has clearly given a value to the customers from the organization perspective. And now the entire perspective of doing business has changed. Unless until you are doing your traditional businesses digitally, you are missing something. And that's why we are going to talk about how this digital transformation had helped zero trust adoption by the IT, by the businesses, by the organization. But truly speaking, when I talk about what is this digital transformation, for me, the definition is very simple. The digital transformation, it enables and empower users or consumers, I would say, to create and consume the data and the content anywhere. Simple, plain definition, enabling and empowerment. And this has precisely happened when I talked about those examples. Internet banking has enabled and empowered you everywhere. UPI payment has empowered everybody. Self-service portals, help desk, which are running automated chatbot, it has enabled an empowerment everywhere. So when we talk about this, and not only these adoption, when it comes to enable, it has clearly created a value for the customer, where there has been more transparency, how the businesses has been going on, how the businesses are interacting and collaborating with each other. Collaboration word is very critical. The collaboration has become more open, more tighter, and more in a more controlled and uncontrolled manner. It has gone length and breadth everywhere. So when we talk about this is how the digital transformation is changing operations. Basically, it's an integration of digital technology in all areas of business, and it's fundamentally changing how the business operating and deliver value to the businesses. And when you talk about the all area of businesses, and when we talk about this areas of businesses, it can be culture, it can be process transformation, it can be domain transformation. So it can be anything. When we talk about the process transformation, we have seen how human resources has changed the businesses. When we talk about the IT and other part, we have seen that how the IT has changed into the DevOps environment. That's where the domain transformation has happened. Few years back, the IT was controlling both security and IT infrastructure. Now it has been separated. That's where the domain transformation has taken place. Similarly, culture and organization transformation has also taken place, where HR now called as people and culture to give more value to the organization. So all these have digital transformation, adoption of technology is changing and giving more value to the consumers. But anyways, when I talk about how these are changing things, for me, if I look back, previous years, 4-5 years, and especially 2 years, my reference point, and I hope you all are aware, seen that wherever you have attended these virtual session in past 2-3 years, the reference point has always been the pandemic, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. The difference, what has taken place is that adoption of these transformation has exploded by leaps and bounds in these 2 years. And reasons are obvious, where then how the businesses were operating, there has changed how they have to operate post-pandemic, working from home. There were a lot of challenges, but businesses have overcome. To overcome that, they adopted the SaaS platform with open arms. They moved everything to SaaS model to enable their customers to provide more value, to ensure that they are following the same security envelope which they are offering on-prem. And when they are moving work from home solution, they are doing the same way. And these SaaS providers, they also ensured that not only their data is protected, they are compliant with all the audits and other things. But when we talk about what are the key transformation technologies, so there are 4-5 which I always list down, which is artificial intelligence and automation. You might have heard the word AI automation. Even 5-10 years old kid in the school, they know what is Python, and how, and people on 12 years, they are learning Python, how to code in Python. So artificial intelligence is something which everybody knows now. Hybrid cloud, that's where the word was there since ages 2012, 2013, but as soon as the post-pandemic, everything has gone into the hybrid mode, where you run some non-critical services on-prem, but you have moved every critical services to your cloud. But yes, hybrid mode has been working. Then you have Microsoft microservices, where the concept of easy deployment has come with respect to Docker, Kubernetes. There are a lot of things that has come up. Internet of Things, where you are deploying, you are trying to get the data from every electronic device that is deployed. And with the data you consume, you drive the analytics using the AI/ML engine, and that is the blockchain. But you must be wondering, what is it is related to zero trust? These adoption of these technologies, if I come straight to the traditional IT, they have created a large skill gap with the traditional IT, because traditional IT was always maintaining the on-premise environment mostly. Cloud also they were making, but they were not skilled enough, and they are still not skilled enough in these technology, how they operate, how they manage, and how they should be managed. So when this adoption of these technology came in, so there are many challenges, common IT challenges which have come. So constant skill gap. So gone are the days when any adoption of technology would have taken years. Post-pandemic, the time was shortened. So we were giving, the IT were giving maybe 2 to 3 months to adapt to it. The business purchases the services, and they ask IT to handle it. So there was a very, very short time to learn and adapt to any technology. So always there was a skill gap in the traditional IT. Direct user data management. What it is. Now, have you seen, if I talk about the Azure and these AWS services, or you talk about the GCP services, any developer who has access to the console, they can spin up any VM, they can deploy any services, just a click of button. Do they need traditional IT? No, they don't need it. And with the large amount of information available on the internet, which provides you how to do it, it becomes DIY, do it yourself. Traditional IT is no longer required to manage these infrastructure, which is spinned up by developers. So direct user data management is started. Now, I will come up to the techno-socialist working style, because that is something I want to talk about. Now, when it comes to the 4-point single clicks opening door to the data. Now, if you have seen, the adoption of SSL has increased from 5% to 80% in past 3 years. Everything coming as SSL, whether it's authenticated link or non-authenticated link. And these links, when these are impersonated, these are sent to the consumers, whether it's personal or official, these single clicks they can lead anywhere, and that cascading of data is endless. So single click, it can open any door to you, whether it's legal, and then constant and evolving data security landscape. Every SaaS platform that you adopt, you have certain challenges to do. You do a single sign-on, you create an integration with your existing applications. Again, the SaaS platform will come with its own data security landscape. And when it comes with their own landscape, your infrastructure had to adapt so that you can bridge the integration between them. So and further, as we are moving daily, data threats are coming up, more data security standards are coming. So again, it is constant and ever evolving. Now, when you talk about the total techno-social working style, now this I have seen in past 2-3 years, this nature has increased. Now anything, come across your personal life, you want to open anything, what you need an identity, you need an email ID and phone number. That's all. These 3 things you need. And once you have these 3 things, you can gain access to your data anywhere, everywhere you want. So if you are sitting at one location, if you want to operate your bank account, moving to other country, other city, yes, and authentication would enable, and SMS would come and you would authenticate. And similar thing has happened in development or the IT environment, where this internet has opened the doors where no longer you need to register your all profile. What you need is only your email ID or mobile number. That's all. You subscribe to a newsletter, you subscribe to any services, giving your email ID and mobile number. Now, the problem that has arisen is users do not know where to use their personal mail IDs and where to use their official mail IDs. And that has resulted in this techno-social working style where they use the company email ID anywhere, wherever they want. They continue receiving the workspaces. They register their official mail ID on a GitLab, for example. They register their official mail ID on Slack, for example. Now, these are some of the SaaS platform, common SaaS platform which are running and which do not differentiate between what is personal and what is corporate data, unless until you have technology to do that. So this techno-social working style has created problems where the data is exposed unintentionally to outside world. With a single click, by giving your official mail ID and your mobile number, you can expose your email ID to outside world. And with few single click, that code becomes public. So this techno-social working style has created a lot of problems in this past 2-3 years. Now, how to bridge this gap? So when you talk about continuing where we started, digital transformation and the common endpoint, these 2 years, you might have seen that this digital transformation or these technologies, the SaaS platform, the Googles and everything, they have enabled the content storage or content to access anywhere and everywhere using the techno-social working style. Again, what you need is only a mobile number and an email ID, that's all. And then you can access the same content anywhere, whether it's your mobile phone, whether it's your iPad, whether it's your company laptop, whether it's your personal laptop. No, if you have no controls drawn, no line drawn, it will be accessed everywhere. That is easy accessibility on content on any device. And pandemic-induced work from home has required businesses to open the security access to external endpoints. So all these problems has started post-pandemic, where it was not an objective just to make sure the business continuity, but an assurance has to be provided to customers, to clients, that whatever the data that is delivered by the organization to their customers, that is secured as it is, which was working pre-pandemic when it was a very secured environment in the office. And when employees move to work from home, their home where there is a public broadband, still the data is safe. The data which is transiting to the internet, that is safe. Now, so the objective of keeping the data secure in anywhere, and these problems has resulted in one thing, which is a failure of trust-based security. What is this trust-based security? And we'll see that. No, wait, we have a short demo also at the end where I will be picking up, I will be showing a console where how you can see, this zero trust architecture. So this failure of, what is this failure of trust-based security? Now, traditional IT believe that if you have accessed any device one time, or if you're logged in into one time, then you are a trusted person. And when you enter through that door into the house, you have access to every corner of the house. Simple. You verify once and you trust everything everywhere until you log out. Do you think it is relevant in the current system? No, definitely not. Because gone are the days where you have a user coming without laptop and going without laptop. We have moved into the mobility area where everyone is carrying the laptops to home, and they use the same laptop to do anything, everything. They use the same laptop to do their official work also and personal work also. So unless until we counter this trust-based security, we'll not be able to differentiate between the personal data and the corporate data from the same endpoint, how it is going out from the network and which data is coming into the network. That is the first thing. And secondly, can you implement the same set of security, trust-based security in any type of network? That's what we are going to talk about. Now, if we talk about, again, we always had the same outcomes. We need to have improved security, that is end-to-end unified security policy for all users. Now, please understand, when we talk about this improved security and end-to-end unified, it becomes more contextual in nature now. Gone are the days where we used to create a plain, simple policies across the endpoints, and then we used to have the same source and destination. Now it should become more contextual aware, where if you're accessing Gmail with your personal mail ID or the Gmail with your official mail ID, the system, your tool should be able to determine that with respect to improved security posture. You should have a better visibility into the internet traffic and the cloud application access. So example I've taken, Jira, Slack, GitLab, GitHub, these, and Gmail I have spoken about. So you should have the better visibility about what type of systems the employees are accessing. Any user can upload same type of file to Z Drive, to OneDrive, to Dropbox. There are numerous applications. How would you understand these kind of things? Now, what are the better security controls for employees working off and off network we have taken? Now the next part is protection of the intellectual property right from the data leakage. This is the thing that we have to take care, where we have to ensure our customers that your intellectual property, your IPR should be protected wherever the employee is working. You should adhere to the risk and compliance with alert to forensic analysis and improve work from home capability for environment. But if you don't do it, what you will have? You will have the data breach. You will have impact on your revenues, company revenues. You have the increased spends on your on-prem solution, and the most important, the reputation damages. You have seen the hacking which has taken place in Cisco. You might have heard the hacking which has taken place in Uber. Fabulous cases of social engineering which has taken place and which has resulted in big data breaches. And if you see the crux of it, though, they are not doing anything extra, but they are utilizing the social engineering skills to hack despite having the MFAs, multi-factor authentication, in place, and that the breach has happened. So these are all the reputation damages which the organization should implement the controls to overcome that in whether in a proactive way rather than in reactive way. So again, when we talk about, again, the slide is same, but a zero trust framework, or whatever the framework that we are talking about, or the solution we are talking about, it should handle three different things. Primarily, one is the user activity, where you should have a complete visibility of what user is doing. which sites the user is browsing, whether the user is browsing to an environment which is not feasible, whether the user is browsing to any cloud app which is not approved by the organization, how the user is interacting over the period of time. Second is the data and IP controls, where you have to protect your data, and data becomes an intellectual property, and the data should not be uploaded anywhere from anywhere. You should have controls and better visibility over there. And third thing is the access management, where you have to implement good level of access management, a contextual aware access management, rather than a trust-based access management where you enable the accesses once and then it is available to everybody, available to that user for extended period of time. So these are the three key areas which has become a required goal now when it comes to the IT. Now, when we talk about this, let's talk about this traditional network. I hope you all are aware where these are the traditional security and network architecture. Now, if you see, there's a bit pieces available. You have a separate appliance for WSG, you have a next generation firewall, you have a separate solution for DLP, you have a separate solution to protect your application, you have a separate solution for your VPN, SD-WAN. And if you see now how the links are going from here and there, you from this network, you have to give access to your branch offices using MPLS connectivity. You have to connect your cloud infra, you have to connect your branch offices, you have to connect your devices. So again, it's a very complex architecture, and with this traditional technology, these separate pieces which are deployed in silos, they cannot interact with each other and determine whether the session is trusted or not. Because if one technology will approve it, other technology might block it, or the vice versa, we don't know. So when these technologies do not talk to each other, they are not able to share the data. A trust-based security or traditional network always pose a big problem, and it is posing a big problem with respect to the security endpoint. Now, the challenges with the traditional network security approach: disjoint management, too much of work. You have to manage everything from the same piece of policies across various devices, slower cloud adoption, cyber security risk. This is the most important, because every now and then you will see that OEMs will start releasing the patches, and you have to go patch that. If you miss anybody, if you protect 9 devices, if you don't protect 10th one, still you have your system is vulnerable. You have a poor user experience with so many things running across, and it is again expensive managing and all those things. Now consider this type of environment, a very simple diagram. So what this simple diagram has, you have a middle network. It's a network, and it's going to a zero trust exchange. It's again, I'm talking about always a framework. We'll talk about how it is framework, because there's various pieces, the architecture. Now, all the endpoints going into the network, reporting to zero trust exchange, and zero trust exchange is connecting everything, whether it's data center, branch offices, your apps. And when the return traffic is coming, it is passing through the zero trust exchange. So if you see this diagram, you would see a difference where technology has enabled that you have a single entry and exit point, where your zero trust exchange will have those contextual aware policies with various technology embedded with each other, which are working in parallel to determine any threat proactively rather than the reactive control. Now, this is one of the examples which again I have elaborated, where you see that you have an example of zero trust exchange, Zscaler setting, and how the pieces are controlled. The main point to see is that everything is going and coming out from the zero trust exchange. So you don't have to worry about where the users are sitting, how they are interacting, because everything will go into the zero trust exchange and will come out. So it becomes very easy for you to set up the policy to determine what is happening. And based on that one, you can change the policies dynamically without impacting the users. The latencies and everything, it is being taken care by zero trust exchange. But no, we have talked about the zero trust exchange. But what is this zero trust exchange? Simple thing. It works on a very basic principle: never trust, always verify. So we are moving from trust once, trust once and verify none from to never trust and always verify. It's a simple framework which provides you an overall protection over critical 4 pillars for any organization, which is identity. Identity is very well referred to any identity that you create into your organization. The endpoints, you talk about any type of endpoints, Linux, Mac, and Windows, it provides an equal sort of protection to all the type of endpoints. The network, when you talk about the network, you talk about the routers, devices, preventing the lateral movement, how your policies are in place and how those are exchanges. Again, the network is also one of the pieces with zero trust can control. And the most important is application, whether it's your cloud, on-premise, and SaaS. Zero Trust Framework has the capability to provide the same cover to any type of application, on-prem application, whether it's a third-party application, whether it's an on-prem custom-developed application, but you can enable all the application to share the data with Zero Trust Exchange, determine the sessions, trust the sessions, verify the sessions, and then make it ahead to access the data. So again, zero trust, it eliminate implicit trust with the traditional IT was happening, and it continuously validate every stage of digital interaction. Now see this diagram. Again, if you see the above one, you have users, you have devices, network, application, automated analytics. So these are pillars. Now, zero trust is sitting on top. It is protecting everything. But if you see at the lower level, you will see that it's more contextual driven, it is more scenario driven, and it is on the real-time access where you continuously authenticate your identity, you continuously monitor your identity, and the most important part is you dynamically enforce these authentication and authorization. Any change in identity, any change in location of the identity, Zero Trust Exchange will make sure that your session is re-authenticated. You have a multiple confidence level enabled on the identity. Then you have rules and policy enforcement. And once all these 4 things are driven, then only you can access your data. Sounds good. No, because for me, access every time is okay. And this is what we have been doing. If I log in personal and zero trust, if you believe, I've been using zero trust in my personal life since long. When the banks started the MFA system, they started these OTP system to authorize any transaction. It's a zero trust for me. This is what the same concept it is being there. Whenever you are doing any transaction, you have to authorize yourself, you have to authenticate yourself against a zero trust exchange. Only then you will be able to access. Now moving on, again, so what are the principles which zero trust dictates? It assumes that every user or network is hostile. Gone are the days where people say, no, I'm part of the organization, no, why I would do that, no, you should implicit trust to me. No, nothing. This entire principle, the framework assumes that every user has the capability and capacity to be hostile. It can generate any vulnerable data. And please understand, this includes the internal IT also. We do not trust the internal IT also in this respect. We always assume that external and internal threat exist on the network at all the times. Now see the principle where, few years back, you said that you have the on-prem firewall network. We have blocked everything, every port on the firewall. I have scanned everything. No internal threat can exist in our network. Now the scenario has changed. You can have the internal and external threat. And the reason is simple, because landscape has changed. People has moved from a secured environment to unsecured environment, and there has been hybrid mode. And whenever there is a hybrid mode, there is always a possibility that when you move from your secured network to unsecured network, you can carry a threat, you can get a threat anywhere. So the prime assumption is that external and internal threats always exist network. The network locality is not sufficient for deciding trust in the network. This is the same thing we have spoken about, where the secured network, you have the network locality in terms of office, And but when you're moving to home, you have a public broadband, again, your network locality is changing. So again, it's not no same policy should apply wherever you are in the network. And every user network must be authenticated and authorized. Policy must be dynamic and calculated from as many sources of data as possible. So these are the assumptions which zero trust assumes. And these are the base principle on which the entire zero trust framework has been designed. I'm using again the word the framework because it dictates, it provides you a guideline, and it also provides you an option what to opt, what not to opt. It is just not just a piece of technology where you will say that I will go and purchase a zero trust. No, it is not that one. You have to decide your organization objectives. You have to decide what do you need in the priority order. And then you adopt this zero trust exchange in your organization piece by piece basis. And it takes years and years to reach to a level where you can say that my entire environment follows the zero trust framework. Now we will discuss, now let's talk about the zero trust solution component when we're discussing all these things. So if you remember though, the traditional network diagram, we had VPN, we had firewall, we had DLP solution in place. We had, I think, other component for applications are there. Then the internet access. All these things, zero trust have a component available. So when we talk about from the right hand side, the secure web gateway. The secure web gateway is a component in zero trust, which provides a security whenever any web traffic is going from the endpoint. Please remember, here we are talking only the data in transit. We are not talking about the data in rest. Zero trust framework only assumes that your data is moving, and only then it can inspect the traffic. So the secure web gateway component, and we'll see in the demo also how you can set up the policies. A secure web gateway is a component where you can classify what you can classify the set of the websites which are allowed, and based on that one you can create different group of policy based on user departments. And the most important thing, since this zero trust this SWG is maintained by the OEM, they get feed from thousands of the internet feed agents from Microsoft, from Azure, from AWS, anywhere, and then they feed in so that their database becomes up to date, and you can classify. And the most important part is this SWG framework. It provides you a capability of SSL decryption. You remember I have mentioned that the adoption of SSL is increased up to 80-85% in the past 4 or 5 years. Now, even you would not see any unsecured link, non-clickable, unsecured link or the threatening link and HTTP. It will come as HTTPS only, because everybody knows the HTTP is very, very easy to identify and block it. Even the users are very much aware that don't click anything which comes on port 80. So this secure web gateway has a facility where you can do the SSL decryption, and then you can check the payload which is coming into the HTTPS header and block the sites which are malicious, and it really does it. Then it provides the next generation firewall as a service where you can block the ports, protocols on the user machines dynamically. You do not need anything like Windows firewalls or the base firewall of any operating system, whether it's Windows, Mac, or Linux. But this next generation firewall, you can push the block allow policies about the ports and protocols from the console to the agent, and agent will provide those services on the endpoints. Then you have Zero Trust Network Exchange, GTNA, where you can securely connect your branch offices to a single point using deploying securely the app connectors, and you can expose your websites to a group of people who are using ZTNA, and those users can anywhere in the world. So that is the beauty of this ZTNA, where you can expose the websites publicly, your internal websites, to only intended recipients and nobody else. Then you have the CASB. CASB is a cloud access security broker. It's a very fabulous services. I've given you examples where the users can have access to the Dropbox, they can have access to GitLab, they can have access to Slack. So how do you protect it? In the traditional components, you cannot block the download but allow upload, or vice versa. You cannot, have a G drive or open the Gmail, for example, a personal Gmail, and not provide a facility to send an email to download any attachment. Can you do? No, traditional firewalls will not provide services. This CASB is a beautiful feature where it determines all the SaaS platform equally and provide off-the-shelf services to block the features of the applications, the SaaS-based application. It is a very beautiful feature that we'll talk about in demo. And then you have the SD-WAN. SD-WAN, we are not going to talk about much on this. So now again, if you see the architecture, this is what you can transform your traditional IT environment into this, where you have only the 3 blocks. You have the entities anywhere. Please understand the entities anywhere. It is the most important thing. Untrusted, whether you have a BYOD device, whether you have a corporate device, anything. And then you have the zero trust exchange, where you authenticate identities. And these identities can be anywhere, your user, your device, your app, they can access the content anywhere. And then resources anywhere, where you can have public resource, private resource, your company resource, your data centers and everything. So your architecture becomes very simple, where you have a reduced cost and complexity, you have a great user experience, eliminate the internet threat attack and prevention of the lateral threat movement. The beauty of this solution is that these solutions, these OEMs provide and extensively use artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other components, where they check the footprint of the user, seamlessly. And these zero trust exchange solutions, they provide integration to various, providers. For example, they provide integration to Microsoft Office, they provide integration to CloudStrike, they provide integration to MS Defender, they provide integration to MS Cloud App Security. You can scan OneDrive and SharePoints also using the zero trust exchange, so that you can enforce the DLP policy from the zero trust exchange to your SharePoint sites and documents. So these kind of the level it provides. So it uses extensively the AI and machine learning. So the problem statement of mine, not knowing the artificial intelligence and the problem that arise due to adoption of artificial intelligence, I'm solving these problems by adopting a solution which works on the base premise of these, where it determines the entire footprint and everything, and give you a beautiful footprint of the user, how it is transversing over the internet, over your corporate data. Now, this is something which you can see. Again, it's an extension where you can see that you have the full Ssl inspection provided. You have the URL filtering and cloud application control. You can have the advanced cloud firewall. You can have advanced threat protection. You can have a DNS security. You have a DLP security. So as I said initially, the zero trust is a framework. Now these components are provided by the solution, and you can pick and choose what your organization objectives are. Initially, you can go for the full Ssl inspection, URL filtering, and cloud application to start. Then going forward, you can add the modules to have an advanced cloud firewall. You can add the modules to have a DNS security. You can add the module to have a browser isolation and document isolation. So again, it's a journey where adoption of the framework would not mean that you will get all these solution at the same place. You have to adopt it by selecting the modules, and then you can implement this entire solution. If you implement this entire solution, you are sure to break the attack chain, where the delivery of the malware, or you can say the payload, its exploitation, its installation and persistence, command control, action on objective. These entire adoption of these framework make sure that you stop, you isolate before the threats go to a certain point of time. And then we have talked about the lateral thread movement, where you can create the segment across. Now you must be using the DLP, you must be using your VLANs as a traditional mechanism to prevent the lateral movement, but that is not secured. So with the zero trust exchange, you can create segments where you can say that this portal is available only for 100 users, these portals are available only for those 50 users, and that is in a single click. And that becomes a completely segmented architecture at the top level. You don't have to do anything on your network then. Then you can do your user to app segment also. You can have the app invisible to the network. We have talked about it in the ZTNA, where you can expose your apps without exposing to internet public intent, but only to a set of people or your to entire organization user who have the agent installed. And what it does, it blocks threat before they reach you. So this is the beauty of this solution, where it provides a comprehensive cyber threat protection with the zero trust exchange. You can zero down your attack surface, you can zero down your lateral movement, you can zero down your pass-through connections. So this is something all about the zero trust, where how you can implement in your organization. Again, the implementation is a tough journey, because this framework is not simple to understand, and it is not simple to adapt to your organization. You have to have numerous discussion on the objective with the business leadership, your legal finance, what they want. You have to write down a clear-cut objective, whether you have the requirement of SWG against the CASP, or you are more inclined to implement the DLP rather than SWG and CASP. So these objective, the prime objective, will define how you can structure the entire modules, and how you can build the pieces in phases to secure the entire journey. Now, for example, in our organization, we have adopted the SWG, CASB, and DLP. Now we are moving to ZTNA also, and we are moving towards zero trust exchange for the network, and then we'll be going for the browser and browser isolation also for the computers who do not have the agents available, but we can provide the equal amount of protection wherever our corporate data is driven. So this is itself is a journey, where this is only a first piece of the overview, and the implementation will require a lot of thought process. Takeaway, because now since we'll be moving shortly to a demo, so I will cut down here, where some of the key takeaway: it protects the organization, users, and data over any network. This any word is very critical, and it delivers the important enterprise value and data protections. And network security is a journey that will continue to evolve with the new technology. More and more things will come, but zero trust framework implementation will continue. Right. So I will just open the demo. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can respond. You can paste in your chat. I will be happy to answer. While I just log in to the demo. Just give me a minute. Just log into a demo and give you an example of how this entire thing works. There's a lot to talk about, but the time is short. So there's a lot to talk about, but since the time is short, I cannot cover each and everything. This is one of the solutions which I'm presenting, which is from a reputed OEM, which is called as Zscaler. Now there are many OEMs which, whenever you will search on Google about the zero trust exchange, you will and everybody these days is operating on the zero trust exchange solution by integrating their own technology and provide a holistic console. But Zscaler is one of the oldest technology which is available. So I will just go see the dashboard. This is a demo tenant, so it doesn't have the data, but I will just show you the URL and cloud app control policies, how it provides a protection. You see the cloud app control policies. So here you can see that you can click the rules where you can define the application, what applications are allowed. You have the flexibility with the one click rule. Secondly, if you see the social networking site, you can define what social networking sites are available, right? And what you can block. In the YouTube blog, if you see here, you have an option to block viewing, listening, and uploading. Similarly, you can use your Netflix also, you can use your Hotstar. So all those applications are listed. Around thousands of applications which are categorized under this solution, and you can define the granular controls. Apart from granular controls, you can define what users, what groups, department, location, time, and the device groups are available to do this. Then this streaming media, again, you can disable it. Then in the webmail, if you see, it provides you tenant profiling. So but what we have done is that we have blocked the entire Gmail ID and we have created tenants with respect to Office network. So, and this solution determines which is able to access, which is a personal Gmail ID and which is the corporate Gmail ID. So it provides us more granular control where we allow viewing email, sending attachments on the corporate Gmail ID. But if you see the second rule, which says that block personal Gmail ID, I have blocked sending attachment, sending email, but I've allowed the viewing email. So this is the beauty, same solution. You are able to set the dynamic rules where same gmail.com will work for one of the ID and the same Gmail will not work for the other ID. And it is able to identify between a personal Gmail ID and a corporate Gmail ID. Right. Similarly, it provides control for Office 365. It provides control for Slack. It provides control for Jira, and to name a few also. Dropbox also it provides a native integration. Now, if you go to the URL filtering controls, if you can see that it provides the protection with respect to protocols. Right, you can define which type of protocol you should allow, whether it's DNS, SSL, HTTP proxy, HTTPS proxy native, and what are the request methods. And it provides the URL categories also. You can define. Anyway, the secure web gateway, the traditional content filtering firewalls also provide these type of things, but it provides you in a dynamic system where it assesses your site. Whenever you are browsing, you are typing, it tries to classify the sites into these categories dynamically with ever-changing database, and it blocks the sites which are not required. So you can define those URL filtering policies here. So in the same solution, you have the URL filtering and cloud app policies defined. And if you see that, this is one of the best control which I have seen, where it blocks. It provides you an option to block the new domain. See how the hacking takes place. You have a domain ID, for example, google.com. I can have GGLE.com, right? It becomes, for the eyes, naked eyes, it becomes very difficult to identify. So what this solution does is, whenever you are browsing any website, it tries to see when the domain is registered. If it is registered within 3 months, it will give an error warning and block it, simply block it. So it provides you a protection where the new impersonated domain cannot be accessed unless you allow it. It's a beautiful feature where you can see that how that artificial intelligence has come up. Enable AI ML content categorization, embedded site, safe search, identity-based overrides, and everything. So these provides these things. Now, somebody is asked about the browser controls. Now, if you see that it provides all the browser controls where you can define the IE, Chrome, Safari, Mozilla, and you can define which browser version should be allowed and rest all should be blocked. So that browser control, if it is installed, the agent will not allow to browse any site on that. Right? Now, if you talk about the file controls, you can block the PDFs, you can block, if you see the granular controls where you block only the upload, you don't block the download. See the granular controls, and this control will be valid everywhere. Where anything you upload a PDF to anywhere, it will block, while the download it will happen. And the protocols also it defines. And it provides almost around more than 500 plus file type controls. And the similar level you can provide the actions which can be upload or download. Now, if you talk about the SSL inspection, which I was talking about, it not only inspect the SSL, it can inspect whether the site is running an unsecured certificate and whether the client version minimum should be TLS 1.0 and 1.1. I think you might have heard that TLS 1.0 and 1.1 has become obsolete now, and everyone is moving to TLS 1.1. So it's a beautiful control where you can define with a single click that any site, any website which is connecting over the TLS 1.0 and 1.1, it should be blocked, and it will block it. Just a click of second, you publish a policy, 30 seconds, it will be updated to all the agents which are which are connected, whether it's 5,000, 10,000, and yeah, within 30 seconds, yes, you are done. You are done. So, and secondly, you can expect that its users, you can default have, again, and you have the advanced SSL inspection where you can define some certificates and all those things. This list is endless, and when we talk about the SaaS API controls, I was talking about where it can connect to your OneDrive and SharePoint, and how it connects is once you connect both of them in the background, it will check the entire content which is being uploaded on OneDrive and SharePoint. And if you have enabled certain controls where you say that .exe is not allowed to be put on OneDrive, Zscaler will block it. This control will block it. Similarly, on the SharePoint, if you say the document, some word should not be there. For example, social security number should not be stored in a document. You just define the DLP policy, the DLP engines, connect with the SharePoint, and you will get alerts, and it will block access to those documents also. Okay. Similarly, you have malware detection, malware scanning, and activity alert. You see that default impossible travel activity, failed login alert. So how this is happening? You are connecting to your Office portals, Office 365 portals. You are getting a log there. You are submitting the logs there, and you are getting an alert that what has happened. And based on those alerts, you can take action, and those actions can be automatic also. Okay. Now, other than that, it provides firewall control, as I was mentioning, where you have the features of advanced and again the standard firewall filtering policies. If you see that you have the ICMP services blocked, you can define whatever the blocks need to be done. You can block the destination countries. You can block the network services. So again, it's an advanced firewall configuration where you don't have to do anything on the endpoints. This agent will do everything for you, and you have the net control policy and firewall control policy. So I think we are just short of time. So I think we'll just move away to the question that introducing zero trust will impact the response time. No, I would say no. The reason being that the entire zero trust section, whatever the OEM I have seen, they have hundreds of data centers across at a very reachable locations. So what it does is the agent has the ability to connect to the nearest data center of that solution provider seamlessly. And these data centers, they provide feeder services to most of the provider, which include Microsoft and Google. They have those tunnels running, and they share the data at the fastest speed. So that it will not impact the response time. If you have the previous latency of 5 milliseconds, it may increase to 6 or 7 milliseconds. But I have not seen a case where the response time would increase, and generally it is faster. So it will not impact any of the response time anywhere, because they are constantly evolving those data centers, and they keep on adding. In India itself, Zscaler has almost, I think, 5 to 6 data centers, like Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi. So you can cover those agents anywhere. Does Geo Trust check in CMD, command monitor like SSH, etc.? I would say that no. Command line, CMD, command monitor, SSH, curl, etc. It will not detect, because these are traditional command prompt desktop-based applications. But if you are using certain applications, a web-based application which is running on HTTP, HTTPS, yes, definitely it will monitor that. Now, again, the beauty of this solution is it operates into two modes, Tunnel 1.0 and 1.2.0. Tunnel 1.0 provides the services only for HTTP and HTTPS, but as soon as you move from Tunnel 1.0 to 2.0, it will monitor not only the HTTP and HTTPS traffic, but it will monitor the traffic related to UDP and TCP. So when you say it can monitor the command, so from command line or SSH, if you are trying to connect some unsolicited destination, Tunnel 2.0 is your solution where it will block, you can monitor and do it. Yes, so yes, to some extent it will provide, it will not monitor the entire application, but using that application, if you try to exchange data outside, yes, it can monitor that over the protocols. Which vendor we should learn for Zscaler, FortiGate, any cloud one? I think when you talk about learn for Zero Trust, you have to understand the framework first. But in my opinion, when you talk about every OEM has their own strength and weaknesses. As I said, you should first decide on certain parameter, what are your organization objective. If you want to move to the entire cloud-based component where you do not want any footprint, then you can opt for certain vendors like Zscaler. But if you want something which can integrate it your traditional FortiGate network, the appliance in the network, then yes, you can opt for the FortiGate. But please understand that the component which I've shown, the ZTNA, you talk about the SWG, CASB, once you have those organization objectives very clear, then you can weigh to these OEMs. Every OEM have their strength. For example, I have one vendor who's very strong in CASB solution and DLP. There are other vendors who are very strong in SWG and CASB equally. So again, it becomes your organization objective, what you want to protect, and you should see the solution holistically, which can cover all your use cases over the period of time. Get how far they have done. There are a few vendors who just started it, so they need some time. So again, it becomes your organization choice, but evaluate based on the organization priorities. Any more questions? We have 5 minutes remaining before we can end the session. I think this is a very introduction session. I wish I could have more time where I could have showed how to do this project implementation. We have a record where we implemented this entire solution in 3 months of time with the minimum downtime, and it requires a lot of thought process, how you can do it, how you can plan your project, how you can plan your deployment with the risk factors. So those are many things which are a lot to cover, but since this was an intro section, I could cover only these things. But feel free to reach me out for anything if you want. Yes, we can apply season, festival based restriction. Yes, time based is available, but yes, festival holiday based will not be available because holiday is a something which changes region to region. But yes, time based restrictions are available, which anyways your traditional firewalls are also there, but you can apply on a more advanced fashion. You still need VM. No, once you adapt to it, you can move completely to the cloud VPN. There are two parts for it. One is we call as internet access. Other one we call as personal access, private access and the internet access. Every OEM provide these two facility. Once you adapt to the private access, you don't need traditional VPN anymore. And once you have agent installed on your all systems, you can draw the seamless line without connecting to any VPN. The beauty of this one, it can sense the traffic which is going to full tunnel, which is going to split tunnel, and based on that one, it can adjust to routing. So you don't need any traditional network if you are planning to implement this Zero Trust. So I could not cover ZPA also, the private access. It's also a beautiful concept, but again, the time was short. I could not cover it. But yes, you don't need VPN if you're moving to this solution. I think great. I will just type in my personal mail ID. Please feel free to connect me at any time if you need more input. And just a second, I think. And I thank you all for attending this session. I hope it will be, a good insight for you and it will help in this adoption. And let's see if we have future more session for the advanced implementation. We will definitely, meet again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I see no more questions are there. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.